How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. It all ends in the next few days. Everything is going to end, and it's going to be a very important time, I think, for the markets, a very important time for your portfolio, a very important time for us all moving forward. I want to talk about what's obviously going to happen in the next few days and how this affects crypto, why crypto is falling down today, maybe some information that will help you feel a little bit better. If you don't mind, hit subscribe, turn on the bell notification underneath the video so you can see future videos just like this. Also, there's a link to Margex underneath the video that allows you to start trading cryptocurrencies using leverage. You can use that link to start with just a few clicks. You have to put in your email, a password, check the terms and conditions, and you can start trading very quickly. You can trade all different kinds of assets and be able to amplify your returns. This is something that I've been doing, and there's something towards the end of the video that I think is so important for this setup right now that could actually make you a ton of money. So stay through later in the video to see what's happening really behind the scenes. Now, Bitcoin falling down a little bit over the last few days. Keep in mind, at the end of October on the 29th, we were almost at new all-time highs. Now we're down at 68,300. A lot of people starting to get worried. Maybe this is a fake out. Maybe we're going to double top. People are saying maybe we're falling all the way back down. I don't think that's what's happening. I think there's something pretty obvious that's happening right now. But we'll get to that a little bit later in the video. You can see Bitcoin dominance spiking up 60.5% now. How cool is that? I've been very heavy on Bitcoin this entire bull market. Over 80% of my crypto portfolio is in Bitcoin. And obviously, with the elections coming up, with quantitative easing, with some uncertainty about the economy, Bitcoin is still taking off. And we've seen a lot of inflows into the ETFs, which I think increases Bitcoin dominance, obviously, as well. And yeah, people just aren't feeling the altcoins quite yet. Of course, there are some altcoins that are outperforming. But when you look at the second largest altcoin, Ethereum, it's performing pretty poorly against Bitcoin for the last couple of years. And a lot of other altcoins are still just bleeding to Bitcoin as well. Now, part of the reason I think we're seeing a drop in the price of Bitcoin right now is that, Trump went from a very, I don't want to say sure thing, but being very heavily favored to win Pennsylvania to now it being about a 50-50 shot, actually, with Kamala Harris actually flipping Trump. So this is scaring the market a bit. A lot of people realize that that Trump has been more pro-Bitcoin. Verbally, he's talked about Bitcoin and just, with what he's done, right? He showed up to the Bitcoin conference. He's talked about firing Gary Gensler. He's obviously someone that takes Bitcoin a little bit more seriously than Kamala Harris. Also, people, maybe look at his policy and think that he's going to create more growth in the economy, which would cause more inflation, which would cause more people to want something like Bitcoin. So there's like a multi-level reason why people really like Trump if they are very heavily into Bitcoin or very interested in Bitcoin. So with his election odds going down on the betting market, some people are starting to get a little bit worried. Maybe he's not going to win this election and it's going to be bad for Bitcoin. Now, I'd push back on that, and I'd say, keep in mind, whoever the president is continues to cause more inflation, right? Continues to print money, continues to go into more debt. So Bitcoin's going to do well no matter what, in my opinion. I think 50 years from now, we're going to be looking back, and Bitcoin's going to be millions and millions of dollars, if not more than millions of dollars by then. Keep in mind, 50 years, a lot of compounding by then. And it's not really going to matter that much. But of course, Trump has talked about a strategic reserve of Bitcoin. That would be somewhat unprecedented. I don't think that's going to happen under Kamala Harris. I could always be wrong, but this is something that a lot of people are paying attention to, obviously. And this election is going to be done in about 2 days. After that, we do have the Fed meeting Thursday. We have some earnings coming out this week, so be ready. There's going to be tons of volatility. I've said that for the last couple of weeks. There's going to be tons of volatility, so be ready for anything. Also, people are talking about Bitcoin falling down. Lady of Crypto says, start of October, Bitcoin dumped hard. By the end, it closed very bullish. Now we're seeing the same thing. In a bull run, dips are only temporary. I think Lady of Crypto is right on there, but she's actually missing out on something. The last 4 months have been down. Okay, so last month at the beginning of October, Bitcoin fell from 66,000 down to 60,000. Then it actually fell even further down to 59,000. Then we bounced the rest of the month. The beginning of September, same thing. End of August, we were at 65,000. Then we went all the way down to 53,000. So big drop there. At the end of July, we were at 70,000. And then we went all the way down to 49,000. The beginning of July also was a big dump as well. You know, beginning the first month, we were at 64,000, the first of the month. And then we went all the way down to 53.7. So July, August, September, October. Now, November, we're seeing drops. Every single month, we're seeing drops. But throughout the rest of the month, we rallied. Then rallied, and then rallied, and then rallied, and then rallied. Like this could be a really good opportunity to get in on some long trades. Of course, a lot of it is going to hinge on the election. I would not be surprised if Kamala Harris wins to see Bitcoin fall, right? Have a guttural reaction to this that sends us down. If Trump wins, I would not be surprised to see Bitcoin shoot up in price. I think that's how the markets are viewing this election. And yeah, I think whatever happens the day of, I think the markets are going to move in accordance to who is likely to win. Now, again, this is just based on the Bitcoin market, right? I'm not trying to get political here saying one candidate's better or worse or anything like that. But I think that's how the market is going to view this election. I think it's pretty obvious with what we've seen so far. So if you are someone that maybe wants to go low risk on, you might want to long this because there might be asymmetric upside. Maybe you think Kamala is definitely going to become president. Maybe you want to short Bitcoin as well. Just make sure you're ready for the volatility. Get ready for anything. Of course, we'll have to see too what BlackRock does this week. I know some people are saying, well, how can BlackRock buy all this Bitcoin and yet the price doesn't move? Keep in mind, there's always a seller, right? Who's selling this Bitcoin? How likely are they to want to sell it? Because, I mean, I could see, again, let's say Trump becomes president and BlackRock continues to buy like this. Maybe the sellers don't want to sell at today's prices. Maybe they price it in that, you know, there's going to be a strategic reserve, the economy is going to boom or something like that. And yeah, maybe we want to hold on to our Bitcoin. Maybe we want to sell at 80,000 instead of 70,000, 67,000. And then there are no sellers. There are only buyers. Price goes up. Now, again, I think there's going to be some relief once the election's done as well. Whoever becomes president, I think there will be some people that are just willing to now allocate towards certain asset classes, and there's going to be more money. I wouldn't be surprised if there's more money flowing into the market in general. It's just a question of where it flows, but just knowing where to put money, because there are a lot of people that just have money on the sidelines that want to see how this all plays out. Keep in mind, the Fed is meeting on Thursday as well, so they're going to give their opinions of the economy, so that's going to be interesting for markets too. Again, if you want to place positions, if you want to hedge your bets, let's say you have, I don't know, a couple Bitcoin, 5 Bitcoin, and you're thinking, well, I don't want to sell my Bitcoin, and I also don't want to take a tax hit or anything like that. Maybe I want to hedge a little bit. You could come on Margex and you could short the market. Again, not saying you should do that, but you could do that. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Let me know your thoughts on this underneath the video. A little bit more political and giving a little bit more of my thoughts than I typically do. I know that will cause some people to be angry, but you know, that is where we're at, right? This is a very important week for the market, so be ready for anything. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.